Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Harika. So in previous videos, we have seen the basics of SQL and how we can create the database, how we can create the table in database, and we have used execute query, non-query, connection, and everything, right? And also we have seen how we can pass the parameters into the query by using UiPath. So now it's the most interesting video because till now we have seen passing the values only one row at a time, and now we will see how we can pass multiple values. So let's say you have an Excel with you which has a lot of data that's there, and you wanted to push all the data into the database at a stretch. So how you can actually do that? So let's see how we can recreate that workflow and how we can actually do that particular action using UiPath. So firstly, let's create some data, some dummy data that we have with us. So let's say if it's a student table and I have, this is the data that I have. So firstly, you have to make sure firstly, you have to make sure that the data that you are giving, whatever the column names that are there, so that should be uh, there in your particular column names that in your database. Okay, so these are all the columns that I have, and this is my table. Okay, so I wanted to push this data. So till now we have seen where I was pushing only single data at a time. Okay, so let me take a new Excel. Okay, so here I have different data and different values. So I wanted to push all these 6 rows into my database at a stretch. Instead of running the workflow multiple times, I wanted to do everything at a time. So let's see how we can do that. Go to the studio, and we have seen how we can pass the parameters, right? So first and the foremost thing that we have to, the thumb rule for anything is connection, right? But did we see how we have to disconnect after, after working with SQL? No, right? So how important it is to connect to the SQL before we actually execute in the same way. In order to follow the best practices, we also have to do a disconnect. Okay, so it's very simple. Let's look into that as well in this video. So bulk upload data. Okay, so I'm going to create one workflow here. So I'm taking the same connect here instead of creating the things multiple times. Okay, and let's look into the disconnect. It's just a small thing. Just pull the disconnect. What you have to provide to this particular activity, it's just the database connection. What is the connection that we are using? Database connection, right? So just provide that variable, which is an output from here, to this disconnect. Okay, and then that will disconnect the connection between the SQL that we have already connected. Okay, so after that, in between, the workflow has to be executed. So what is the thing that we are going to do? We first have to read the data from the Excel, right? So to read the data, we have read range. I'm using the workbook activity. Just remove the range. Okay, so I'm going to read that workbook. What is that workbook? Student local database. That's the one, right? Okay, after reading that, I wanted to store this into a data table. Okay, just say DT bulk student data. So we have the whole information in our data table, and what we can do, we know that whatever the insert query that we are writing, it is used to upload the data into the database. But we wanted to do this for the number of rows that are there inside this particular data table. So for each row in the data table, just pull this activity. What we are doing inside this bulk students data, what we are doing, we have to just take the value from here, which is the insert query. what I'm doing, I am not writing the things again and again, because we have seen this in the previous video. So if you're someone new to this video, I would suggest you please go and watch the previous videos. That will be very much helpful for you to build the basics, and this all will be a piece of cake for you to go going forward. You can understand things very easily. So just rename them, and I'm keeping the query as it is. Okay, this is not a parameterized. Okay, let's do one thing. For this alone, I will show you step by step, okay, how we can do that. Execute non-query. Just pull this, and what is my connection? Existing connection database, and this is number of rows. Already we have created it. So now how we have to write this particular query? Okay, so I'm not changing the query much. Just go here and then copy this whole query. This is the previous query that we were dealing with earlier. Just paste it. Okay, so we know I wanted to insert all of this, and these are the values that I'm passing as a parameters. So if you see parameters are not there, I have to define them. So what I'll do, I'll just okay, let's do one thing. Let's better take this from here. Okay, so I have the parameters, and also they are defined. Just I have to give the values here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here in this particular example is the student name. What I have to provide here should be coming from the data table, right? So let me go. This is my Excel sheet. So this is my value. The value should come from here. So what I'm going to do, at each run, I will get the current rows student name dot toString, because it's of type string. So in the same way, I will update for all other rows. Student row and student ID. Make sure that the header should be same, because it's case sensitive. Current row and then marks dot toString. The same goes with current row this is perfect, right? Just say okay. But if you just observe, I have added one more column in my table. So I'll just add in that column as well, which is class, and create the argument class. Okay, and you should also give the parameters. Okay, let me go and provide the parameters in the collection here. So my argument is class. So what should be the value that goes in here? Just make sure that everything is correct as per the names that you are given in the header. Otherwise, it cannot recognize and the value will be null, or you may get an exception. So current row, which is class dot toString. Okay, so this is perfect. So I would run this in the debug mode and show you how we can, we are getting the values at each stage. Okay, let's debug this. So before to which I have to close the Excel, otherwise it will throw an error. I said you right, so just retry. Perfect. So now it has read the Excel and the data is stored into this data table. Okay, so this data table contains all the data that's there in my Excel. So what should be the first row? Monica, 123, 78, female, and 10. Correct. So what is the values that we are passing? Let's come to immediate panel, and this is how you have to check. Student name dot toString. Okay, so the first value is Monica. So this value will be passed as a parameter, which is an input parameter. So this contains Monica right now. This will be passed as a parameter to the student name. So that value will be gone into here, and this will be inserted into the database. So this is how the flow actually happens. So in the same way, if you wanted to see the current row details, so it contains all this information: Monica 123 78 female and 10, which is as expected from the data that we are pushing, right? So just before to this, let me delete everything here. Okay, and just run it. Okay, we don't have any data. So now I'm doing a step into, okay, grade does not belongs to the table, data table. Okay, so what exactly went wrong? We are mentioning grade is not there, but grade is here. And okay, students local database does not belongs to the table, student details table. Okay, everything looks same. Let's look into what exactly the issue is. Okay, fine. The more errors we get, the more we can learn. Not an issue. Let's look into this. Okay, just come into the query. Am I missing out something here? Let's look into the query that we've written. So it says grade does not belong here. That's the thing. Let's look into the parameters. We have given everything right. Perfect. This everything seems perfect. Okay, just come to students details table and then go for an insert statement. Here, if you see, this is the table that we are using, right? So students detail table, grade, and the class. Students details table, name, ID, marks, grade, and the class that we are using. And the values also seems perfect. What is the exact issue here? Did we connect to the correct data table? It shows demo database name. Demo database name is correct. Students details table. Everything seems fine, but we are getting an issue. So let's execute this. Is there anything with respect to query? Okay, let's take this exact query. Okay, just copy this query, just paste it over here. Oh, just say okay and try to debug now. Oh, grade does not belong to this table. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's check the local database. I think this is the gender, right? So I'm passing the gender from here, but there is no gender that's there that we are giving it. So let's do one thing. Let's change this to grade. So that's why I told you we have to make sure whatever the details that we are giving has to be exactly the same. Okay. So let's say a all is, save it. So as we don't have the grade in the data table that we were using, so it has thrown an error. Okay, it's not something with SQL, it's something with the data table that we are using as input. So if you see, the data has provided, and now let's come and execute this query. Okay, this is perfect. So we can see the first row line item got inserted, and do the same thing for all others. Done. So we have 6 items, right? 6 row line items. So we got 6 rows, we can see here. So we got 6 rows that are pushed at a stretch just by executing this workflow, and the connection got disconnected. So this is how actually we can push the data by using this data table and passing it into a for each row loop and using this. And there are other ways as well, but as we are progressing slowly right from the basics, so this one I would like to showcase in this video. And you can do the bulk updation as well by using the update query wherever you have some requirement. And you can also take the data by using the select query. So that's all about bulk upload. So with all the things that we've learned right from the beginning of this series, like establishing a connection, passing the parameters, and also bulk upload, so I would like to showcase a small mini project kind of thing in the next video with combining everything what we've learned throughout these 4 or 5 tutorials. So I hope that would be interesting for you to put some more hands on. So you can just try it out and see how this works for you till now. And also thank you so much for watching my channel. And if you like the videos, do like the video, and also do let me know in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.